Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel. You got your boys here, Lanny, Bert, the Dividend Diplomats. I need your help, community. I'm evaluating something drastic here. Is it really drastic? No. But the big question is it time to add this ETF to my weekly purchase lineup? I can't wait to talk through this with all of you, Lanny, and the rest of the gang.
Guys, you're here right now on the channel, so smash that subscribe button. Give Bert and I a nice thumbs up. And this is entering the holiday giving season. So if we get this video to not one, not two, not three, but 400 likes again, just like we did this past week, like, comment, subscribe, and comment your favorite ETF this holiday season. You'll be entered in a contest to win some swag giveaway from the Dividend Diplomats, baby.
That's right. In a video last week, we talked about how we're increasing my wife's weekly SCHD purchase from 2 to 4 shares. This was the first week we did it. It was freaking awesome on Monday morning. Logging in, seeing those 4 shares purchased. That got me thinking, could I be doing more? Could I be following what Lanny's doing and increasing that weekly automated ETF strategy? That's the big question. Because after we reached 100 shares of Johnson & Johnson, I kind of left it a little more informal. We found stocks at the beginning of the week that we wanted to buy. We put in 150, 170 based on the stock, just to get some consistency. But as the market continues to increase and stocks become less of a value, it's harder to find those stocks that you want to consistently buy. So here we are back at the table considering ETFs once again.
So you're doing the 4 SCHD shares every week. Is that continuing, or are you going to stop that with this video here that we're discussing?
No, I said I have a goal. I want to get to $500 of annual income, at least from SCHD. We're probably right now at about 390, 393-ish after this last week's purchase. And then we got the big dividend coming up. So once we get to 500, I'm going to reevaluate to determine if I want to keep doing SCHD or I want to stop. But I think to answer your question, here's the direct answer. That's continuing, and this is a new weekly purchase that's getting considered.
So the show goes on, guys. And as Bert said, J&J is always hovering in the 150 to 170 mark, which is why when he hit his 100 share threshold, he was starting to allocate that elsewhere. So now the question he has, it sounds like, is there an ETF in that 150 to 170, 175 range that has growth to a dividend because we're dividend investors? Bert wants that passive income. Who wants that passive income? You want that passive income. By the way, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your favorite ETF to enter into that 400 like Dividend Diplomat swag giveaway. So, Bert, and I'm thinking of ETF options. I know you own SCHD. Obviously, that's off the table because this is a new ETF.
Yeah.
You own a little bit of VYM from a rollover. So I'm assuming it's not VYM, even though your boy over here would be very excited if you joined the VYM family.
It's not, but it's not too far off from there because it's another one of your regular purchases, Lanny. We are talking VIG, the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation Fund. And you know why, Lanny? Because we appreciate dividends here on this channel. That's why we're talking about it.
VIG, guys. And yes, it's true, Bert. I do buy $40 a day, and I've done so for the last, gosh, I don't know, 6 to 7 months straight, nonstop, can't stop, won't stop. Here we go.
Yep.
Vanguard's VIG. And yeah, Bert, like you said, it's a dividend appreciation ETF. It's not going to be the highest yielding ETF like an SCHD, like a DGRO, like a VYM, but it's an ETF that's focused on that key bolded, underlined, underscore, italics, whatever you want to do to the word. Send my Uncle Tony to break his kneecaps. Appreciation, because you want appreciation in the price, and you're going to get appreciation to that passive income stream.
So let's talk about those first. Let's talk about the price. Year to date, VIG is up 8.40%. Over the last year, it's up 3.67%. Then over the last 5 years, when you stretch out the time frame a little bit, it is up 59.63%. That's over 10% annualized if you invested 5 years ago. So that's why people are loving it. But you don't just stop with appreciating the increase, right? In
And
price.
actually, and Bert, to keep that in mind, SCHD is down 4%
Yeah.
this year, and in 5 years is up 47%. So VIG on the appreciation side is outperforming SCHD.
Yeah. And let's just go now, keep the appreciation theme going. Let's talk about appreciating the dividend growth, because that's really where VIG shines. They have a very strong 5-year dividend growth rate. It's nearly 10%. It's 9.52%. So very, very solid here for the ETF that continues to offer above S&P 500 yield, strong appreciation, and then you add the third pillar here, strong dividend growth.
Strong dividend growth, strong dividend appreciation. And Bert, I don't know if you know this, by heart, but how many holdings does this ETF have from Vanguard?
I don't know it by heart, but the place where we took notes on this tells me that it holds 314 holdings. And what are they based off of? When we were doing the research here, just a quick blurb, tracking the investment performance of the S&P US Dividend Growers Index. There.
Interesting.
Yeah.
U.S. Dividend Growers Index.
I didn't necessarily realize there was a US Dividend Growers Index. I'm not going to lie. But that's what they follow. There are 314 holdings in that index, apparently. And that is what it is. Lanny, what's the expense ratio on this one? Are they a high or low expense ratio?
I mean, this is why we love, a lot of the ETFs we talk about are you're not going to see the high expense ratio ETFs. This is right in line with what SCHD does, what VYM does. VIG is at 0.06% as well. So very, very low, cheap ETF with 77 billion, assets value, from the number of, investor dollars in the fund.
So there are some of the big facts, some of the big pieces. Let's take a look here at VIG's holdings, though, see what makes up some of those 317, how the allocations are going. Let's first start with the allocations because it takes a look at the full portfolio before we dive into the top 10 and the top 20 holdings. They're spread out pretty far amongst different sectors. We're going to put the chart up here. Their top sector allocations, information technology are only 22.4%. Financials are 18.3%. Healthcare is 15.5%. Industrials are 13%. Consumer staples are 12.3%. Those are really the big ones that jump off the page. And what that tells me is VIG is not over allocated in any one specific sector. They're not doing anything to get a certain type of yield. They're not doing anything to skew one way or the other.
Yeah, if there's one way to really own Apple and Microsoft without owning Apple and Microsoft, here's a good way to do it, with a big concentration with a nice dividend growth, specifically from Microsoft. But man, you've got some real high dividend growers here. When I think of Visa, United Health, MasterCard's in here. I know Merck just increased that dividend handsomely. So you've got some very solid high dividend growth rate stocks on this list.
Yep, that's right. And the top 10 companies make up 31.8% of their portfolio. The top 20 make up 47.9% portfolio. So I did find that interesting how top heavy that top 20 are in there. Because remember, 20 of the 314 holdings represent 6% of the total holdings when you go by a number basis. But those 6% of the individual holdings, those 20, make up 47.9% of the market value.
Wow. Yeah. Very interesting. Almost 50% within the top 20. So Bert, VIG, we're going to throw up some of the metrics here of the ETF, but Bert, you want to quickly go through them? Very similar to the Dividend Diplomat stock screener, focused on the PE, payout ratio, and dividend growth rate with dividend yield. What are some of those core metrics before we get into Bert's thought process and what he might do?
Yeah, so we backed into the earnings per share because their price is 164.53 on Vanguard's website. PE ratio is 20.4, so we backed into the earnings to use throughout the rest of this calculation. Payout ratio, using that earnings per share, annual dividends published on some of the sites, it gives you about a 39% payout ratio. We already talked about the 5-year dividend growth rate, 9.52%. with a dividend yield of just under 2%. It's in the 1.94 to 1.97% range.
Solid, 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 solid. So slightly below the S&P 500 on the PE ratio standpoint. A very low payout ratio, pretty much at the bottom side of Bert's perfect payout ratio, which is 40 to 60%. So that means there's going to be a ton of room to continue to grow the dividend at an average rate of over 9%, as Bert indicated.
Yeah.
Again, up, almost 9% this year. So Bert, you were thinking about starting to invest in VIG. Are you more thinking because of the historical growth rate or the historical appreciation? Like, what's your favorite part about it?
I think it's a little bit of each. It's a slightly different take on it offers obviously less yield than SCHD. Similar growth rate right now, but SCHD has been going through some things. You look at it, the yield, the growth rate, and the overall performance. I think it's a nice package where it gives you a little bit more than just putting it into VOO, but it also offers very strong dividend growth too. You're not sacrificing on growth while picking up a little bit more yield on an S&P 500 fund. That's really more of where my comparison is. I'm not comparing this one to an SCHD VYM type investment. I'm comparing it more to VIG versus VOO.
Yeah, and VOO frame of reference is up about 20% this year, up about 73% the last 5 years, more skewed because of this year,
Yeah.
truly.
So
VOO.
yeah, so we're not finalizing our decision yet, whether it's VIG, VOO. I'm still open or a different one, but this is very much where I'm leaning. One thing to note is whether I start picking up one share a week at a time, I'm also looking at just giving the position a little bit of a punch, maybe putting in $1,000 to start it out, then doing it, whether that's $1,000 of new capital or $1,000 from a position I'm trying to sell is a story to be determined. I'm not sure yet, but regardless, I don't want to just start growing this with one share at a time. I want to give it a little bit of a head start.
Hey, a little bit of a head start right out the block is never a bad thing. Just go ask Usain Bolt. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, completely respect it. I love it. To be honest, it'll complement, I think, SCHD very well. I think you'll see, very, very much what I see, in a good time, it'll probably perform better than SCHD. Technically, it should. And then in a terrible time, hey, at least you have the SCHD to help balance out the VIG. Interesting. Yeah, I dig it, man.
So everyone, let me know what you think about this. Do you like VIG? Are there other ones I should be considering that offer the yield and dividend growth combo like this, but are slightly different from the VYM SCHD higher yielding group? Let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Remember, get us to 400 likes to enter that swag competition.
Let's go, guys. Make some noise out here for Bert and Lanny, guys. Come on. Remember, keep saving, keep investing. Let's get to financial freedom, guys. This is what it's all about. It's Christmas. It's the holiday season. Let's spread it around, man.
That's right. Don't forget about Hanukkah too, Lanny. Can't forget
yeah,
about Hanukkah cheer.
I think I said holiday season. Or
You did. Oh, no. You said holiday. You talked about Christmas. So we're going to talk about Hanukkah too. We got it there. All right. The last thing is, by the way, I know we talked about the holidays, but remember, if you're not with us, you're against us, Jack.
Oh, man. That was Bert the Hurt and Lanny from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.